What is going on, everybody? Hope you guys are doing well. We're going to be making another video here, another run here on ATS. So, back in the old flat top, haven't changed anything there. So, we got a stumper going from Bakersfield to San Diego. Not really sure why there's a stumper in Bakersfield, but there's not really a shit ton of logging going on in Bakersfield, really. I wouldn't think so, but there is some, I guess. But anyways, it says we've got 5 hours 40 minutes it's gonna take to make the run. We're, of course, like I said, in Bakersfield at the BNSF rail yard, heading over to San Diego at the CAT location. I'm not real sure if it's a shop or if it's one of those roadside things, but I guess we'll find out when we get there. But anyways, the stumper is weighing in at 39,500 pounds. Next rest stops in 7 hours 52 minutes. We got plenty of time to make the run. Shouldn't be any issue there. So, without further ado, let's get trucking. I just like watching the wheels work. That way. Yeah, I don't have the flags on the front, even though they're on the trailer. But which I guess in this particular case, I'm not sure if you necessarily need a bunch of shit, but. And triple axle trailer for this load is, no, you wouldn't need that shit. Not really. I've seen 60,000 pound quad track Steigers get hauled on a tandem detachable low boys, so. So yeah, triples on this. I don't know if that's necessarily needed, but whatever. But I guess it is what it is. But no, we're talking about. I seen something on one of the Facebook pages for ATS. I guess supposedly, and this could be old news too, as far as I know, but supposedly SCS is working with like Freightliner and stuff to be able to use their trucks too. And there was also rumored that Mac is working with them now too. So I don't know. We could be possibly having some more trucks. So when that comes, it's anybody's guess. SCS is not really necessarily a huge user of the timeline. They said that supposedly Idaho was supposed to be coming out here May, June, and they said Colorado was soon to follow. So how soon, nobody really knows. The best guesstimates from what I've seen and what other people have said is Christmas time. Well, then that's not really soon. I mean, that's Not really any different than what's already been happening, as far as states coming out and stuff like that. So, I mean, for me, if you're talking soon, okay, let's say Idaho comes out, you know, in June. Soon to me is July or August. So, I'm sorry, but saying, oh yeah, it's going to be soon afterwards, and you're talking 6 months down the line from it, I don't really think of that as soon. That's just the normal timeline that every state has followed. Is it seems like they come out with one every 6 months. So to say that that's going to be soon afterwards, no, that's to me not necessarily the definition of soon. But yeah, supposedly talking about having Freightliner trucks, having Mack trucks. So who knows what comes up with that. I'm just honestly glad that they've got Peterbilt and Kenworth's permission to use their shit. So for me personally, that's all I'm really worried about. I've always I've always been a Peterbilt guy. Always will be a Peterbilt guy. It's, and like I've said before, I'm not necessarily saying the other brands are complete shit, but I know what I like and stuff like that. So I really don't have a problem with Mack. I do like Mack, but for me, Peterbilt number one, Kenworth number two. So yeah. But it is nice to see some other brands possibly coming into play. They've already got, Peterbilt, Kenworth, and then International Volvos there. But it would be nice to see. For me, I like Western Star too. I guess I should say that. I like Western Star as well. That's another one of my top favorites. So I guess technically it would really go probably Peterbilt, Kenworth, Western Star, then Mack. But so I guess with Freightliner possibly being coming to the board, it's definitely a good possibility that obviously they could have Western Stars and stuff too, which I'd love to see a Western Star Lomax in this game. I really would. They've got good models. They've got nice looking trucks. So they're definitely not the ugliest trucks in the game, because they're not. I've been to plenty of truck shows where there's a Western Star sitting next to a Peterbilt, and the Western Star looks just as nice. So for me, like I said, I would be definitely excited to see a Western Star Lomax. I would really like to see that, as well as possibly some other cargos and shit here. And I've bitched about AI traffic being smarter. It'd be nice if it was. I've seen that people have traffic packs that supposedly change this kind of stuff, which, okay, fine, whatever. But I've seen where a lot of people have had issues with them. So it would just be nice if SCS could possibly do something to make AI a little bit better. I understand there's stupid drivers out there. There's people who do dumb shit all the time, but when a light turns yellow and they slam on the brakes in the middle of the intersection and come to a complete stop, when the light turns yellow, that shit doesn't really happen in real life. Most people, they see yellow, they just roll through the shit. So it's one of those things where some of that shit could change. I'd really like to see a livestock come to the game, instead of just having to use mods for this. I'm not saying it's not gonna happen, but it'd be really cool to see, and I'd really like to see it. Whether it happens or not is yet another thing. Oh shit, I should probably slow down here. But it'd be nice to see. I mean, I'm not saying it's gonna happen right away, but it'd be nice to see something like that. So we're not depending so-heartedly on modders for it. And I'm not saying I don't appreciate modders for what they do, but it seems like with a lot of these paid mod type things, I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying that those people are shitty people and, you know, their mods suck. It's just for me, I don't know, the whole paid mod thing. You're already paying for the game and stuff. And I understand it's a way for them to kind of have their hobby making money, but at the same time, it's like, I don't know. For me, I think that might be a dangerous thing. Because I guess if there somehow comes an issue and Peterbilt, let's say, wanted to be a dick, and you have a Peterbilt mod that you're charging people for, unless you're kicking some of that money up to Peterbilt, I would think there's a possibility of some legal issue. I'm not really sure, but when I see on Facebook one of the diesel clubs that I'm in, well, diesel pages I'm part of, used to be called Diesel Truck Army. Now it's Compression Ignition Army. And that is simply because the fact that Diesel Clothing sued them for using the name Diesel. Which I know is fucking stupid, but that is a lawsuit that Diesel Clothing ultimately won, so... But that's yet another story. That's just fucking bullshit and some big company throwing their weight around. But I think, especially in the case of Peterbilt, if somebody is using that kind of shit, you know, that's definitely a lawsuit they could potentially win. I mean, there's no real way about that, you know, especially if you're getting paid for it. You know, it's, I don't know, and, you know, it's like decal companies and stuff, obviously, they can make, they make decals, you know, with Peterbilt, Cummins, whatever the hell on it. You see it all over eBay and all that kind of shit all the time. But they don't generally seem to run into a shit ton of issues, but at the same time, if they really wanted to push it, they very well could. But I guess also too, the other thing is, you know, these companies have a lot bigger fish to fry than that. So yeah, but the whole paid mod thing, I don't know. For me, it's just, I don't know that I particularly care for it all that much. I mean, if you want to go ahead and make mods and stuff, that's fine, you know, but at the same time, it's kind of like, I don't know, I guess, like I said, I don't charge for anything that I do, so for me personally, I just feel like paid mods are just kind of I don't know, that's not something that I'm interested in doing, so I mostly do it because I know there's other people out there that don't do it, but yet they want something that looks nice, so rather than being selfish, you know, here you go. But that is what it is, but whatever. I don't want the whole whole video to be about that, so. But, anyways, on other things, and I had talked about 1%er clubs before, so I'm perusing some different things, and I've got I've talked about like Mysteries Abandoned on the SciGo app. Well, I also have the Discovery Go app, and I was just, seeing what was on there. And there's a show that was on Discovery a while back called The Devil's Ride. You might have seen it, might not have seen it, but basically the premise is that the Laughing Devils are this club, and they follow them around, and all this kind of stupid shit. And the whole fucking thing is just stupid and made up. It's a fucking joke. The whole thing is just, it's a fucking joke. It's made up. I don't believe the club was established in '06 and filming started in 2012. I think the club was established in 2011 in pre-production and then filmed in 2000, and the show came out in 2012. It's just stupid. It's so fucking played up. It is so fucking just drama fueled, and the whole thing is just fucking fake. And the reason I know it's fake is because that shit would not be allowed to be filmed. If it was a quote-unquote real club, and they're like half-ass hinting that they're all these badasses and shit. No, it's a made-up fucking club. And the whole rival situation with the Sinister Mob Syndicate, which is the stupidest fucking name I've ever heard for a club in my entire fucking life. That's just, wow. That's like something a fourth grader would come up with when he got a hold of a dictionary. But I know it's fake because you look it up, and Sinister Mob Syndicate is a company owned by Eric Bischoff's production company. And you might know who Eric Bischoff is because he was part owner, had his hands in, WCW, WWE, and we know how real that shit is. So it's just, the whole fucking thing is played up, and we're going to war and everything else because there's only room for one of us poser fucking clubs, and yeah. And there's other clubs that are not 1% clubs that are not posers. There's a lot of mom and pop clubs out, I guess to say, around me, and I'm not going to name names, but there's two of them that are known. I mean, I'm sure there's others, but around me, the two main ones, yeah. So, but the thing is, they're all, from my experience, hanging out with them and drinking beer and stuff with them and stuff like that, they're all pretty good dudes. They're not somebody to fuck with. I wouldn't say go up and throw a beer in the face of one of them, but generally, if you've got a patch on your back, that should command a certain amount of respect. It does for me. If I see a patch on the back, I don't care if it's a 1%er or a mom and pop club. I'm going to show some certain respects and not be a fucking dick and, shit like that. But these guys, you can tell it's fake. You can tell it's scripted. You can tell these are paid actors. You can tell all that's just a facade. There's nothing. Mom and pop clubs aren't necessarily. They're not going to be involved in a lot of illegal activity, but they're also not fake either. You can tell that they give a fuck about each other. You can tell that it's not just a show. It's not just a, whatever to them. And with this show it's like, you can clearly see that the whole fucking thing is just fake. And that it's not even, you can just tell. You can just tell that it's all made up and it's scripted and everything else. And you can tell that they're paid actors. Because it's like, certain people have all this screen time and everything else. And then the next season, oh, that member quit. That member retired. Really? Okay. And then all of a sudden, there's of the stupid ass mobs, sinister mob, whatever, the fucking bitch boys, we'll just call them, sinister bitches. They, oh yeah, Gypsy, the founding member, he was kicked out of the club, and now I'm president, and I'm taking over his other club that he made, this club that he started with us. Really? Or did it have something to do with the fact that he was supposedly involved with a possible underage girl? It turned out to be bullshit, but those allegations ultimately cost him his acting job of being on this show. And that's what it is, an acting fucking job. There's nothing, they're paid actors. There's no doubt in my mind that that's the case. Because the shit that they fucking pulled and the dumb stuff that they did, some of the members did, like fucking getting drunk and riding up and down the street on a fucking Harley, fucking making an ass out of yourself. That would have gotten your colors pulled the first fucking time that happened. So the fact that they're allowed to stay there and cause more trouble and everything else, that leads me to believe that the whole fucking thing is fake. And I know for a fact that it is. And don't get me wrong, does it make for entertainment? Sure. Is it kind of interesting to see? I suppose. But at the end of the day, it's a joke. It's all just an overplayed joke. And it's like, I just don't see the whole, it's a fucking TV show produced, and one of the main producers had his hand in WWE, so in WCW, so you're telling me that shit's real when one of the producers is from that? And like I said, we all know how real wrestling is, so it's like, I don't buy it, nor will I ever buy it. It's just all a bunch of made up shit. And then the whole thing with, in the first season, Gypsy steps down or whatever from president, but not walking away from the club, and then next thing you know, oh, we're coming for your colors. Really? You wouldn't have any sort of, and that's why I know it's fake. Because a founding member stepping down from being president does not get their patches stripped away. They're still respected. And if they have some kind of deal that they pull for the club that the club can do, the president doesn't get all fucking pissy and be like, well, this is my show and I'm gonna throw a temper tantrum because I'm in charge, not you. You fucking left. No. When you step down, you don't leave. So, I know it's fucking fake. Because in a real club like that, if somebody brings in, let's say, some normal member brings in something to raise money, whether it's a ride or, whatever kind of fundraiser, a party, puts together a party, or, all that kind of stuff. That doesn't, you don't lose your fucking patch for that. You don't get pissy because of that. You are like, oh, cool, man, let's get it done. You're part of the club, part of the brotherhood, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, cool, awesome, let's do it. Not, well, I didn't put it together, and if you're gonna do this and not understand your place, then you're gone. Okay, whatever. They're just a bunch of bitches. That's all there is to it. So it's just how it is. But anyways, we're over here at the cat location, and got her in here safe and sound. So didn't exactly finish my topic, so maybe we'll touch on it next episode, because I was going to also talk about the Mayans TV show, so maybe we'll talk about that in the next episode. But till then, guys, we'll see you on the next run. So take it easy, guys, and happy trucking, and hope everything's going well for you.